Welcome to Learning Unit number 3. In this learning unit, we're really focusing on collaboration. Now, this collaboration is at the global level. So why is it important to collaborate, to work with other countries? Well, the author starts us right off in chapter 17 by noting that in order to prevent the spread of disease from one country to another, this requires a coordinated global effort. And I think we all really know that much better now since the COVID pandemic. But it relates to other diseases and the impacts also on the world economy. So this week we're going to look at what the author also calls the health actors, the global health actors, or more simply, the agencies and that are involved in global health, how they work together, how they work individually, and really what strategies they use to improve global health outcomes. These include many agencies of the United Nations. It includes non-governmental organizations, foundations such as the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation, development banks, international health programs. You can see there are a lot of global health actors. We're going to also look at what are the challenges to this collaborative action. So you have wealthy nations such as high-income nations such as the U.S., and you have low-income nations, especially some of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa, for instance. But we're also going to take a little bit closer look at the U.S.'s role in the World Health Organization. So much of what you're looking at and learning about comes from chapter 17. I do understand it's a rather lengthy chapter, but do your best to get a sense of why we need to collaborate and who the agencies are, just so you have a good foundation about the agencies. We're going to have a few other articles or web pages as you're watching this video, and we are also going to talk about the opposing viewpoints paper. So I'll explain. That's not due this week, but I know a lot of you like to work on things early or at least know ahead of time of what other assignments are coming up. So you're going to take the quiz based on chapter 17, and you're going to do your discussion board posting and reply. So that's the overview of learning unit number 3. So if we came back and we click on, the rest of it opens, and the required readings. So then we're looking at collaboration. And this is a short 5-minute video, but it really helps you to get a better understanding visually and listening to this individual talk about collaboration in global health specifically. So the United Nations, what do we do? This is it. This is, the little synopsis here. But I want you to really look at each of these bullet points. What does the United Nations do? And then based on that, then go to the UN, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You'll hear them called the SDGs, not the STDs, but the SDGs. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and you're going to really need to focus on one in your discussion board post. So it includes information and a video. So when you click on there, you're going to see you're taken to the United Nations website, and it talks about the 17 goals. So goal 1, for instance, is ending poverty in all its forms everywhere. Wow, that's a big goal. So if you want to learn about more information about that, which if you choose this one for your discussion board, you definitely want to do that. You click on there. You're going to keep coming down to, the other goals. of 0 hunger. It's a little mushy, isn't it? I mean, I don't know a better term. But goal 1 is ending poverty. Goal 2, ending hunger, food security, very similar. Goal 3, ensuring healthy lives, promoting well-being. It keeps going for 17. So look through, decide which one you want to speak more about. This one we're going to talk a little bit more about in future courses. So if you choose it, fine, but I would appreciate that you choose one of the other sustainable developmental goals. When you come down, here is a nice place to just quickly look at, again, the 17 developmental goals. This is a video that's very helpful. You might want to start with that video and then come back. That's up to you. Either way, you're going to get the information that you need to answer your discussion board post and to learn more about what the United Nations is doing and what are these sustainable developmental goals. So do you know all of them? Here's lots of good information, even icons, downloads. So don't hesitate to spend a few minutes in looking around at this site. So after you read chapter 17, and I always say, go ahead and do the extra assignments before taking the quiz, but it's unlimited in time. But you do have to complete in one sitting. So as soon as you have read the chapter, you can have your book right with you. You can take your time in looking at the questions and answering them, but you can't re-enter the quiz. And don't share answers for quiz. That's what I ask. If you have your book, you have your materials, but it isn't a group quiz. It is an individual quiz. It just helps in everyone's individual learning. So while I'm not overseeing that, I do ask for honesty purposes that this is an individual quiz. Do your best. There are only 10 points every week. You can get 1 or 2 wrong, and you have all the resources you need to answer them. So the discussion board post, as in most of them, this course, you do have to complete your post before you can read others. So if you get on and see nobody's posted, well, you can't see other posts until you do yours. So after looking at the UN's SDGs, the 17, choose one of them. Look at the information that's found in the overview for that specific goal. And then for this discussion board, please share some of the information that you found about that goal, something that stood out to you. For this week, a paragraph of 100 to 150 words, if you want to even know specifics, that's going to be sufficient. But be sure to read and reply to one or more of your classmates that chose a different goal. That way we learn from one another. Obviously, you cannot become an expert in all 17 sustainable developmental goals, but you can get an understanding of all of them by your readings and looking at the website, and then you can get better information, more thorough information for your own post and for that of another. So the upcoming assignment, Opposing Viewpoints paper, let's take some time and looking at it this week. Okay, so I click on, it's a link. It's due at the end of Learning Unit number 5. Not this one, but Learning Unit number 5. We're just reviewing it. So it's going to be worth 100 points. So you know your discussion board posts are 20, your quizzes are 10. So this is a bigger assignment. So when we work in global health, we encounter many very diverse viewpoints, many that are different from our own. Because remember, we're looking at cultures all over our world and different cultures and different lifestyles and resources There's so much poverty in this world, and that impacts all on different viewpoints that people across the world have. We need to be able to appreciate other viewpoints without judgment. Viewpoints that differ from our own is critical in being able to provide culturally competent care. You don't have to agree with another's viewpoint. You do have to respect that there are going to be different viewpoints. And some in global health, we're going to see some individuals, some groups, some cultures have very different viewpoints, and they have practices that are harmful to others. This is really hard for us to accept. There are physically and psychologically harmful cultural practices, especially to women and children. But in order to bring about positive change, we have to understand why these practices even developed and why they persist. That's the goal, to be non-judgmental, not to necessarily be accepting. We're not saying you have to support those practices, but a better idea of why they developed and persist. Because when you really look at it, you do find rationale for why those practices, especially the harmful ones for women, have persisted. So again, you don't accept someone else's viewpoint as your own, or even support practices that are harmful to health, but you're able to better understand another's viewpoint that is different. So that's why it's called the Opposing Viewpoints paper. So, and that's what you're going to be graded on, your ability to respectfully consider another viewpoint that is in opposition to your own. So let's look at, number one, you can work with another classmate. So if you want to do collaborative work with another one of your classmates, you can submit one submission. For this assignment, you're going to have just a 2 to 3 page paper. I do ask that you also include a title or a reference page paper, but 2 to 3 pages of content on one of 2 harmful practices. You're going to find that information right here on the UNFPA's website, either female genital mutilation or gender bias sex selection, also called son preference. So the preference in having a boy as a child. And then female genital mutilation is a harmful practice to women. But why did it develop? Why does it persist in some countries? So you're going to look at this website. Then you're going to get specific information by clicking on here. What do we do? And then you go to human rights and gender equality. So the instructions are all here. I'm trying to give you the overview. Read the information on one of the harmful practices that you've selected, either 1 or 2. Then read 5 things you didn't know about practices that harm girls. And you can click on here to get to the link. It's also here if you want to cut and paste. Then I'm asking that you get 1 peer-reviewed journal article from Mercyhurst University's library database. I'm not saying that you should go to another website. I want you to start using the library database. And based upon a review of the information in the journal article within these years, write a 2 to 3 page reflection on the practice that demonstrates your understanding of why this practice began and continues. So here's the grading rubric. Your paper should, when I read your paper, it should show that you picked one practice, harmful practice, either female genital mutilation or son preference. Does this paper integrate information from the website that is posted? Is your overall tone professional and respectful? Evidence of careful thought. It might be very difficult for you to be doing this, but is there careful thought? Are your ideas expressed clearly? And of course, spelling errors, grammar errors, that kind of thing. Does it provide evidence that the student that you understand why people have made these health decisions based on social, cultural, economic, or even political factors. And then here's one: was your peer-reviewed journal article within 5 years and cited? Okay, that's 10 points going to be there. Is your title page present and formatted? Yes. That's where you get to your 100 points. So again, this is due next week. There'll be a digital Dropbox in Learning Unit number 5, so you could submit this. If you write it ahead of time, go ahead and just save it on your desktop or whatever, and then you can submit it. So but again, it's not due until Learning Unit number 5, and this is Learning Unit number 3. So it gives you plenty of time. And you're also going to see that I will include a video on how to search the library databases. So I'm going to make that available. I'll let you know with an announcement when that's available as well, if you need some help. So a long video, but I wanted to give you all the information for next week. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.